is the Nurses Doing GAMSAT podcast, brought to you by Thank Flip GAMSAT. We're here to teach you how to smash the GAMSAT, get into medicine, and become a flippin' great doctor. Hello and welcome back to the Nurses Doing GAMSAT podcast. Super excited to be here. My name's Marie. I'm one of the founders of Thank Flip GAMSAT, and I'm excited to talk about the bootcamp today. Had so many questions from new students starting, from nurses, from physios, from ambos, from people from all allied health walks of life on how does the bootcamp actually work and how do you get such amazing results, because there is a little bit of secret sauce that we put in there, and I want to kind of explain that to everybody. So if you've ever been curious about what is the bootcamp, is it right for you, this is the episode to listen to today. So I'm going to start with how every student of mine always starts within the bootcamp, and then I'm going to explain how it works. So step number one is always doing what we call a strategic analysis. This is like a diagnostic exam that you do to understand where your core strengths and weaknesses are. And then we use that data, we use that information to put it into a personalized preparation plan that we call a direction planner. So your direction planner is like a table with 3 columns, and you're going to map out every single week of your life between now and whenever you're sitting the GAMSAT. So I don't care whether you're sitting in March, September, the following March, whatever it is, you're going to know every single week. So the table looks like this. The first column is your what column. This is almost like what's wrong. We're going to list out all the skills that you need to fix. The second column is how you're going to fix it. So what are the exact modules, lessons, tools, things that you're going to do? The worked examples, the practice questions, everything. You're going to map it out in the how column, the second column. And then the third column is the when column. So when are you actually going to do that task that's going to fix that skill? So it's what, how, and when. Now and we give all of our bootcamp members videos on how to actually do this, but you are going to pull that all together using the resources of the bootcamp, which I'll tell you what they are in a moment. But then you're going to send that plan to your specific study mentor. So each person that joins gets a study mentor. This is like the one person who looks at your plan and goes, great, this plan is looking amazing. It's going to get you where you want to go. Or they look at your plan and go, there's too much here, not enough there. You're missing this big chunk. What about this thing you haven't thought about? Or, too much knowledge acquisition, not enough skills in there, and we'll rip it to shreds, basically. But the whole point is that you want it ripped to shreds right at the beginning so that you know that what you're actually doing over the next however many months is going to work. Because the worst thing you can do is create a plan, think it's going to work, dedicate, however many months of your life to it, and then it was never going to work in the beginning. It's like if you're getting a roadmap and it's taking you to the wrong destination. No thanks, I'm not interested in that. So the first step is always getting that direction planner started and having your study mentor review it. Now, in that how column, there are 3 ways in which we study together. There is what we call our education library. That's our online platform with all of the tools, and I'll go into that into a second, what's actually in the education library. The second thing we do are live classes. Now, live classes are important because I know you're probably going to study harder when I'm there than when I'm not there. So we always have a live component. The third way that we study together is one-on-one, because sometimes you just need a human. You need somebody to ask. It might not be a big, you might need one-on-one tutoring every single week for hours and hours and hours at a time. But there will definitely be times that you get stuck and you go, okay, I need my human now, please. So let me go through each of these bit by bit so you can understand how they work. Now, they all work together. If you pull one of these elements out, it's not going to work as a complete system unless you kind of got all 3 of them. So the education library, this is 24/7 available online, like an online portal, and it has each of the sections. So in section number 1, we go through each different type of text that comes up in the exam. And we teach you how to analyze, how to interpret, how to step by step go through each of these different types of texts. So if we start with like the one that no one really likes, symbolic poetry, for example, or it could be narrative poetry, statements on a different topic, long journal articles, it could be cartoons, art interpretation, all those type of texts, we teach you the step-by-step on how to analyze and how to interpret it. We then give you, we call them answers on steroids, but they're really worked examples. So we go through the ACER paper and we identify, okay, this is why this answer is correct. This is why these answers are not correct. And if you're not getting it correct, then here are the modules that you need to look at because you need to relearn these different types of strategies. Now, the next thing you're going to get for section 1 is going to be a whole ton of practice questions, like hundreds and hundreds of practice questions. However, I don't want you to just smash the practice questions. I want you to go through each different type of text, understand the worked examples, and then do the practice questions. Because if you're not getting the practice questions right, you'll know, okay, I need to go and relearn from that module again. Now, this is the basic premise of how we teach section 1. However, there's a ton of other skills that go into it. So there's our vocabulary multiplier, for example, where you can learn one word and actually learn the meaning of 3 to 5 additional words by learning that one word. Or there is how to read 200% quicker, for example, because you got to move bloody quickly in the GAMSAT, let's face it. Like, we all need to read a little bit quicker and understand. There's also 19 novels and texts, full novels and texts that have come up in the GAMSAT before. Now, we don't expect you to read them all cover to cover, but we have a certain technique that we use whereby you can learn and you can practice your interpretation and your analysis skills on texts that have come up before. So it really helps to build those skills as well. Heaps more different types of skills available, but I'm kind of giving you the summary. Now, section number 2, essays. 2 essays in an hour. It's quick, right? So here is what we're going to do together to actually improve your essay writing skills. And I should say it more specifically, your GAMSAT essay writing skills. So we start by teaching you all of the skills that you need. So you're not writing essays until you actually know how to do it. So obviously you want to look at structure and stuff like that, but it's not that important. What's more important is being able to come up with ideas. So idea generation in different scenarios. So how you come up with an idea, if you're super familiar with the topic, is going to be very different to how you come up with an idea if you've never even heard of the word before. Like, I had this student who once got meritocracy as her theme. I was like, how'd you go? She's like, oh, fine. I just used the technique that I learned on how to write if I don't know what to write. And I was like, oh, fantastic. So we look at idea generation, how to write a thesis statement, how to articulate yourself, how to use examples. So we're teaching you these strategies. Then there are 24 sets of prompts. So you write 2 at a time, because obviously task A, task B, a little bit different. One's generally more argumentative, one's generally more reflective. You write them and you send them to our marking team. Now, an actual human marks it. This is not AI. In the GAMSAT, 3 humans are marking your essays. So we want to replicate that as closely as we can. And we give you line-by-line feedback on each of those essays. So you'll get line-by-line feedback. You'll also get a summary of what general feedback is given as well. So it's your personalized feedback, and then it's feedback so you can kind of start to compare about where you are in the GAMSAT world, I guess you could say, because essays is not, you don't get your raw score, you get your score compared to everybody else. So it's important to see where everybody else is. You are also given 3 pre-written essays. So don't look at these essays before you've written your own. It's kind of cheating. It's not helpful to you. You're only robbing yourself if you do that. But the 3 pre-written essays on that theme cover a poorly written essay. So if someone's not going very well, you can see it. a moderate essay. So someone's going like average-ish, and then an outstanding essay. And the purpose of that is for you to actually, again, be able to compare and see where you're at in that spectrum. Because you're not running this race of the GAMSAT by yourself. You are competing with others. So if you don't have visibility on what others are doing, it's going to be very different for you to be able to see kind of where you're at. Now, this is the secret sauce of what I want my students all to do with essays. You have the pre-written essays. You have your essays that you have written with line-by-line feedback. I want you to take those essays and then I want you to rewrite better ones. Same theme, same everything. I don't mark that second set. You're not writing it for me. When you're rewriting it, because of the feedback, I want you to implement those skills so that you're learning and you're implementing the skills in an environment which, let's be honest, you're pretty familiar with at this stage. Like that theme, you're very familiar with. So it's less about the theme and it's more about the implementation of the skills that you need to be building. So we give 24 marked essays, but realistically, you're going to be writing 48 essays. This is exactly what we did to get my student Joseph, we called him Joey, but to get Joey, very formal, Joseph, into the 100th percentile. Like his first set of essays took a few days to write. And he said that to us, like, I'm not super confident. It's taken me a few days to get here. We gave really specific feedback. Around essay number 8 or 10, we actually started working on his timing, because obviously that's important as well. And he was so shy. His mum actually emailed us when the results were released, and she's like, Joey got in the 100th percentile. And I was just like, oh my God, so exciting. Because all he did was follow the process. He wrote his essays. He looked at the ones that were pre-written. He got his feedback. He rewrote it. Then he sent in the next set, and he just did it repetitive. So like, I want you to think about, if you're writing 48 essays, knowing every single one you're getting better and better, what are the actual possibilities for you? Like, where are we going to help you get to? Because look, I'd be pretty happy with the 100th percentile. Yeah. So section number 3, my nurses, my allied health peeps. This is the one that I hear about all the time. Section number 3 is the most nerve-wracking. So in the education library, what we do is we start with our nurse-inspired bridging course. This is the physics, the biology, the chemistry. And we structure the bridging course not so that you're learning every single thing that was ever known about chemistry, because you don't need that. What we do is we talk specifically about the stuff that wasn't covered in the nursing degree. So, biology, most of my nurses are okay with it. Not always outstanding, everything perfect, but they're in the right direction. Whereas physics and organic chemistry needs a little bit more focus, so that's where we tend to focus the time. Now, I say with the bridging course, you can start from scratch with nothing and you're good to go. But no matter what, 20% of your time should probably be focused on that, because it is more content, knowledge-based study and is getting the fundamentals. You're not going to ever have a PhD in physics by doing the bridging course. That's not the point. It's just to get the fundamentals down pat, and then we move on to the reasoning skills. The reasoning skills is going to get you the marks. This is where you go from a 45, 50, 55 into 60s, 70s, 80s, the reasoning skills. Now, we start with the basic reasoning skills course. We then move up to advanced reasoning skills course, and then we go to a course called Masters at Work. Now, each of them, grab a skill. We get replicatable processes that we teach you. Then we do worked examples, because you need to see the skills in different contexts. And then we get practice questions, or like, what I say all the time, feedback questions, just giving you feedback. And so we teach that over and over and over again. And obviously the basic skills are going to be different to Masters at Work. So we've got to build up these skills bit by bit by bit. All of that is available 24/7 in the education library. Now, obviously, there's just full practice papers in there. Like I said, lots of practice questions. That is where a lot of the things you're going to be putting in your direction planner live. Now, around 9 weeks before each GAMSAT, we run live classes. Now, these are what we call acceleration classes. We run them on Zoom. They're usually small group classes, maybe 10, maybe 15 people, enough that you can ask questions. There's not like 300 people and you can't put your hand up. Absolutely not. They are small group tutorials and they are skills drills. They are not lectures. Because real talk, I know you're probably watching the lectures on double speed, right, in the education library. I know that's what you're going to be doing. So the skills drills mean that we're doing work with you. You don't just leave with more work to do. We get the job done together. So as an example, for section number 2 in one of our acceleration classes, we might focus on, let's say, introductions. You spend 10, 15 minutes of the hour session focused on this is how to do the introduction, this is the skill we're working on today. And then the rest of the time, the tutor will get you to write 4 intros live and then pull them all apart live so that you're getting your feedback and you can see this is how I need to improve. But actually the visibility on how everybody else needs to improve, that feedback is lit. Like sometimes that actually gives you a bigger breakthrough moment, seeing what others are doing and kind of getting inspired by that. So can you see how that is not a lecture? That is a skills drill lesson where we're doing together. Now we do them 4 times per week in the lead up, in the 9 weeks before the exam, because we do section 1, section 2, section 3, and mindset. Now the mindset one is probably a bit of a surprise to everybody because most people don't focus on mindset, but this is a massive issue we see with people. Some of the issues that we go through in the acceleration classes, but also in the education library, are fear of failure, procrastination, self-sabotage, negative self-talk. In every one of those mindset acceleration classes, we do a closed eye, either a meditation, visualization, relaxation, kind of rejig you for the week, with all the stresses that build up. Because if you think about it, in the lead up to the exam, you don't get more relaxed. You get more stressed, right? Even if you're prepared, it's like going to be the biggest event of the year likely for you. So we want to have, and we want to have a way of decompressing every week and being in an environment where you're a community, because sometimes you're going to come to the mindset acceleration class and you're going to be like, oh, I'm going really well, I'm on a high, woo! And that's your time to motivate everybody else. And other weeks you'll come along and you're just in a ditch and you're like, why am I doing this? Oh my God. And that is the time where others will pull you out. And so it's a great way, because you're going to be going through with your cohort, it's a really great way for you to be in an environment and a community that really supports you. And there's never any shame, there's never any blame. It's really practical of sometimes getting you out of the dumps, but also sometimes just celebrating when you're going well. Because it is really important to have those cheerleaders on your team, and not just people who say stuff, people that actually understand what it's like. Because it can be a lonely place sitting the GAMSAT sometimes. It can feel like nobody understands me. I've got all these pressures. I'm exhausted. I'd complain, but nobody listens. That's what I hear sometimes. Or I say stuff and people empathize, but they don't really get it. No, this is a place where real community is built, which we really, really love. So they are acceleration classes. The last kind of part is our one-on-one tutoring. Now, this is when, no matter what you're going through, if you are stuck, you tell us. We got a form that you fill in. You tell us when you're available. You tell us what you're stuck on. It might be I'm in the education library and I'm stuck on minute 43 of this content in action class, or this bridging course class, or this reasoning skills class, whatever it is. And someone who got over 70 in that section will meet you on Zoom at a time that works for you, get you unstuck, and then move you on. Now, if you're a complete bootcamp member, you get 25 of those sessions. So it is way more than most people need. But I want you to know that you can reach out to us and tell us if there's a problem whenever. And there's no stupid questions. It's not like, oh, it's just this little thing, I won't bother them. No, tell us, because we don't want things to snowball where you get stuck in one bit and then it stops you progressing from there. We want to know what that tiny little bit is so that we can get over the hump together. Now, the thing that I love about the tutoring team is most of them have actually come through our program as our bootcamp members. So I think about Will, who's our head tutor, our lead tutor at the moment, and his first sitting with us, he got a 72. He decided, well, that ain't good enough, which I told him was crazy, but he didn't listen. And he sat again and he got a 78, but he actually got his 78 after he got his med school offer, right? He didn't even get to use it to apply. We got Brunda, who sat with us, got a in the 50s in section 3, for example, and then she moved up in one sitting to an 89 in section 3. We have Bella, who got 82 in section 2. We just have so many beautiful tutors. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because they know what it's like to have the power calls and how it's not just a, here's your problem, we'll fix that. It's really an understanding. You feel like, oh, I'm home. I've got somebody supporting me who's going to actually help me through whatever this issue is. And they've been there themselves. Like, yes, they are smart, but they weren't born with this implanted in their head. They needed to learn it too, so they understand the struggles, which is so nice. I just, that's a really big thing that I'm so proud of in our boot camp, just how compassionate, understanding everybody is that works with us. So that is what is going to go into your direction planner. All of that stuff, we're going to kind of move it all in. And now, I promised at the beginning of this session to tell you about the secret sauce, the reason why we get such magnificent results. And it is because we want you to do the work, okay? I don't want you to go, just skip this week, things are a bit stressful or whatever. No. Every week, your study mentor will actually look at your plan and be like, okay, this is what they are meant to be doing. And you, as a student, have an app on your phone. We download it in our Welcome Zoom together. And every time you're studying, you click go in the app. Every time you finish studying, you click stop in the app. I don't care if you've been studying 5 minutes or 5 hours. You're going to just write a little summary of what you did. And at any point, any of my team can go into the back end of the system and see what you've done. So your study mentor every Friday, we call it follow-up Fridays, is going to go, okay, this is what they were meant to be doing. This is what was in their direction planning. And this is what they actually did. Did they hit the goals that they needed to? Now, if you hit your goals, they're like, yay, biggest cheerleader, let's go. Like, we got it. Woo! Like, just encouraging you. And they're actually recognizing what you did. They're not just paying lip service. Like, they know the hustle that you got going on. Now, if you didn't do your work, this is what the conversations start coming about. Because you could have not done the work because you're stuck on something. And maybe you need to do a power call. Maybe they just in the chats need to help you and get you unstuck. And they'll do that. They'll be like, let's do a power call. Let's book it here. They'll encourage you to do it. Maybe you're like in the fetal position in the corner of the room, just rocking back and forth going, guess that. And you need to be pulled out of the depths. And sometimes those mindset challenges come up. Sometimes we think, I'm not good enough. I don't know if I can do this. This is too hard. And we need somebody to be able to like snap us out of it, just, okay, let's do this together and walk through a process. Sometimes you just need a right old kick in the ass. And that is the study mentor's job as well. Like, if you're not doing it because you're being lazy or because you're self-sabotaging or you need someone to give you that push, Follow-up Fridays is that. And that is how we get people doing the work. That is how we've got one person looking at you, your specific person, and their job is to know where you're at. So your job is to do the work, but if you're not, then having somebody who's going to help you move you out of whatever state you're in as quickly as physically possible. So that is a summary of like the bootcamp. That is how we work. If you choose to join the complete bootcamp, we actually have 2 bonuses that we give away. So the first bonus is our Applications Bootcamp. So we teach you how to apply, how to do your preference orders to get the most number of interviews, how to do your CASPA, which is a big one for Wollongong and Notre Dame at the moment. We want to get you into that 4th percentile to get those extra credit points. And, you know, most people don't think too much about application strategy, but sometimes this is make or break as to whether or not you actually get a spot. So it's super exciting. The second bonus excites me even more. The complete interview bootcamp. Now, we started giving this away to full complete bootcamp members because we were just sick of people getting over 70, going amazing in the bootcamp, and then fluffing up the interview. So we were like, you got to get here. We got to help you. Now, Tom has been an interviewer in the past. So his job, and we have like other tutors working for us as well, who is really there to teach you how to answer the question, not to give you the answer, but to teach you the replicatable strategies of how to think through your own answers, and then the confidence and the practice to be able to do it. The interview bootcamp, we usually put you into small groups. We have live classes. We put you into small groups where you're expected in that, it's usually like a 3-week period between when you get your interview and when you actually interview. And you're expected to, in your small group, practice every day and then come to the live sessions and give us just your challenging questions. So you're going to have the chance to practice with tutors and do mini mock sessions at least twice a week, which is amazing. So this is the summary of kind of how we work. This is the magic. I'd love to hear feedback if you can on socials, or shoot us through an email about what you really love about what we're doing. If it is something that you're interested in, I really recommend you book a call. I'll make sure that that's in the show notes, that you book a call with the team so that you can talk through, okay, what's the best thing that I need for my personal situation? Most people either get the complete boot camp or they get one section of the boot camp. So say, for example, you're getting in the 70s, 80s, 90s in section 1 and section 2, you might just need section 3. In terms of the investment in the boot camp, it really depends on what you need, but it ranges. It starts from $3,000 and it goes up to $6,900, just depending on what you need. Obviously, if you need everything, it's going to be more towards the upper end. We do provide payment plans. So all that we ask is that your boot camp is paid off before your exam. And so if you're joining us with 10 fortnights to go and you want the complete package, we can do 10 equal fortnightly payments of $690, for example. Or if you're joining us with a little bit less time, we're just going to calculate it based on how many weeks or fortnights or months that we have left, and get a payment plan sorted for your personal situation to get you started. Everybody that starts in the bootcamp starts with a welcome Zoom, and this is where you'll meet your study mentor, you download all the apps, you'll make sure that your username and your password are working. We set your first deadline based off of your calendar as to when you're going to send your direction planner back to us, and we show you, watch this video, it's going to teach you, download this template, it's exactly what you need, fill this in, and we set based off of your timeline. So if you've got 3 nights of night shift coming up, we're not going to say in the middle of that, we'll send us your direction plan, because we know that's probably not realistic. So because that welcome Zoom is very personable, it has your study mentor there. There's usually not a ton of people. There might be 1, 2, 3, 4 other people, but it is a small group environment. You can actually talk about your situation and you guys can get to know each other. And that relationship is what's going to take you through. I love our study mentors. They're just inspirational people. And I think that is, for a lot of people, the differentiating factor between what they do, because you can have all the resources in the world and just not do it, and actually knuckling down and giving more hours than you thought you ever would. The GAMSAT does not care about anything that's going on in your life. It only cares, the GAMSAT only cares if you have the skills. So the bootcamp is designed to get you those skills so that you can actually do the work. You can answer the questions on the day. We're working on skill set, on mindset, and work ethic. They're the three things that are going to get you through this exam. So if this is something that you're interested in, something you want to see if it's right for your personal situation, look in the show notes, book a call with the team. They'll run through and see, look, if it's right for you, fantastic, we'll get you signed up. If it's not right for you, they'll just point you in the right direction. No shame, no blame, nothing. We can remain friends, but we just want to make sure you're getting the support that you need. So book a call. If you would like to know every single minute module, I'll also pop into the show notes our brochure, whereby Tom goes through every module that's available within the education library. But to be honest, this summary for most people is helpful because you don't need to know the modules until you actually know the skills that you need to build. But some people, attention to detail is their thing. They want to know it. Have a look at the brochure, see if it's right for you. And I'm just so excited to meet more listeners over the phone to help more people become doctors. Our aim is by 2029 to help 1,000 people become doctors. And when I say doctors, I mean better doctors. I don't just mean people that just have the smarts. I mean people that are empathetic, that have strong mindset, that are willing to do anything for their patients, that understand how the hospital works, because the hospital is really about people. It's really about thinking about the end goal. Being a doctor is helping people in their most challenging moments of their life. And there are more skills than just being smart, because obviously every doctor is smart. You don't get in unless you are smart, right? But it is all of those extra skills, the mindset, the empathy, the compassion, the willing to treat humans with such dignity and respect. That's why we love helping allied health people become doctors, because those skills are what are ingrained in you. You've already got them, right? So I love that. We want to make 1,000 better doctors, and I really want to help you. So reach out to the team. Let me know if you have any questions, and we will see you next week on another episode of Nurses Doing GAMSAT. Bye for now. Hey, I have a cool gift for you, just for listening to the Nurses Doing GAMSAT podcast. We do some of our best work in our Facebook group called, you guessed it, Nurses Doing GAMSAT. It's free to join, and every day we're sharing actionable guides, tips and tricks, and really just how to smash the exam and get into medicine. You can join today by searching Nurses Doing GAMSAT on Facebook. Thanks for listening to another episode, and I'll see you next time.